A very good afternoon to all of you. So, good afternoon, all. Good afternoon, Jai Hind. I welcome each one of you here in this session today. And in today's session, we will be discussing a very important question around how to cover Indian polity through NCRTs, or why NCRTs are important to study Indian polity for your upcoming UPSC examination. And it is not just for civil services examination. Why NCRTs are important for other exams as well, that also we'll be dealing in this session today. So a very good afternoon to all of you. I hope all of you have been doing great. So all of you who have joined me now in this session, I welcome each one of you here. And today we will be talking about a very important and a very relevant question. Okay. Now, before moving on to this important and relevant part, whenever any candidate starts off with the UPSC preparation, the only subject that faces the biggest scrutiny and wherein the uh, aspirants or the students tend to ignore the NCRTs is Indian polity. You ask any candidate that how to prepare history, he'll tell you just go through the NCRTs. NCRTs are sufficient. Okay, whether new or old, that is a second question. But every candidate will always tell you that if you are specifically studying for prelims, for history, go through NCRTs. You talk about geography, they'll definitely say just go through NCRTs of class 11, 12, that will be sufficient. You ask about economy, the candidates will say, just go through the macroeconomic NCRT, that would cover majority of part. But whenever you talk about polity, the instant reaction, instant answer comes up as, yeah, just go through Lakshmikant. Okay. But recently, if you have gone through the papers, you will realize that in the Indian polity, there are a few questions in every exam which are being asked, and they have got some philosophical interpretations. Those interpretations which are specifically nowhere available in either Lakshmikant or in books of the coaching institutes. So, how to cover such topics, how to cover such information wherein the questions are now being asked more about the evolution of an idea rather than the political or the judicial appreciation of that idea. So, it is not always about the constitutional provisions. Sometimes the UPSC is more interested in knowing the fundamentals, the philosophy behind the topic. Okay. So, in this session, along with examples, I'll discuss with you that how for Indian polity, every candidate must build his or her foundation through the NCRTs and then gradually move on to any reference book or coaching material, or for that matter, let us call them high level resources. Okay. Now, first question that comes in the mind. Do you need to go through all NCRTs of class 6th to 12th to cover Indian polity? So, a clear answer to this is no. Okay. Will you find relevant Indian polity topics in all NCRTs from class 6 to 12? Again, the answer is no. Okay. Now, Indian polity content, if we compare it with respect to Indian history or geography, you will find that Indian polity has got a very limited syllabus in comparison to these two topics, but it has a wider interpretation in the examination, a wider interpretation in the preparation, and a wider impact upon your selection or your rejection. Okay. So, Indian polity must be prepared in such a holistic manner wherein you can promise yourself that whatever you have attempted will be correct. I can guarantee you one thing, that Indian polity is the only subject in the entire general studies part wherein you can ensure 100% accuracy, 100% question attempts. Okay. Now, before moving on to how to go through the NCRTs, okay, let me tell you one important thing, that our GS Foundation batch for year 27, 28, 29 will the next batch is about to start on 27th of June. Now, for better understanding for students who are not comfortable with the bilingual part, okay, we are launching complete English language in the morning time also, okay. So keeping in mind the requirements of the candidates, we have been offering evening as well as morning batches in complete English language. So GS Foundation batches, okay, they are available on our smart model of preparation, okay. And let me tell you, this smart model is not a not just a model of preparation, or not something that a feature we are planning to sell. This is entirely an ecosystem built for the candidate to prepare for the examination in a holistic manner, because the smart model with structured classes, mentorship, assessment, revision and the test, we are offering a complete dashboard wherein a candidate can assess the preparation, the level attained, and how he or she will be able to make a difference. Okay. So the courses are priced economically, but still you can avail maximum discount by using the code SRM Live. So use this code SRM Live to avail heavy discounts and the best prices for our GS Foundation courses. Clear? Now moving ahead, the other question that comes up in everyone's mind is how to prepare for NCRTs. Clear? Now, Polity NCRT is how to read for the IAS exam. Now, in this session, I'll cover up the references for prelims as well as for mains exam. Okay. In this session, I'll cover which all NCRTs are to be read and in what order. Okay. I will cover specific topics that are supposed to be read and the topics that are to be ignored. Okay. Now, why NCRTs are the backbone of UPSC polity? I will discuss this with taking a few examples from previous year questions, and will also be discussing some key topics and real PYQ examples from NCRTs. Okay. Now, in this session, I'll also tell you one very important thing, that how much time one should dedicate towards going through the NCRTs. Clear? So, Jai Hind, good afternoon, Prati Bharot ji. Okay, so good afternoon, Jai Hind. Now, one more important aspect that I want to tell each one of you is that at times there are many topics in Indian polity, okay, which you will find that these topics are overlapping with history also, okay. And I have seen candidates ensuring redundancy in this. Okay, the candidates go through those topics while covering history also and while going through polity also. My suggestion to you is that when you are preparing for Indian polity, okay, start preparing for it from the time period 1946 onwards. Okay, because the political consolidation under British, all of you would have studied it in history also. Clear? So there is no point in repeating those topics over and over again. So until 1946, let it be with history. Post 1946, let it be with polity. Clear? There is no point in going through those topics, because I know that those topics are again very, very cumbersome and they are again time consuming. Clear? So you have to be smart in your preparation. Clear? Again, second thing that I want to highlight here is that from next week, the upcoming week, from Monday onwards, daily I am starting off with an smart NCRT series. Okay, wherein I'll cover complete 6 to 12th NCRTs in the most concise manner, that whatever topics are essential will be covering, even though I'll cover entire end-to-end Indian polity through NCRTs from class 6 to 12th. Okay, and I'll keep highlighting that what question may be asked. In the end of the session, I'll also be discussing a few questions from that day's topic only. Okay, chaliye. Now moving ahead, how to go through polity NCRTs? This is the biggest question. Acha, now the biggest confusion that comes up in the minds of students is, sir, the questions that are asked in the examination are higher level. Polity through NCRTs at times feels like reading or completing the syllabus with the mindset of a school student, which is essentially not required. But let me tell you, whenever you are going through high level resources, they will always cover things only with respect to the majority types of questions asked in the examination. Okay, but if you will go through the trend that UPSC has been following in last 2 to 3 years, you will find that a good number of questions are based upon your analytical thinking, are based upon evolution of an idea in the constitution, and at times you will also find some very specific statements quoted in the paper which are covered nowhere, neither in Lakshmikant or nor any coaching material. So they are essentially part of NCRT. So this is the reason that whenever we are targeting 100% of questions in the examination, let us make sure that giving a week, okay, or giving 10 days to NCRTs would not make a difference. They would only supplement your preparation in a more positive and a holistic manner. Clear? Chalo. Now moving ahead, why NCRTs are the backbone of UPSC in polity? Now, first and foremost, they are the primary source. Okay, UPSC framers, they use NCRT language only. Clear? Questions often test the exact definition or concept from Lakshmikant, which itself builds upon the foundations of NCRT. Okay, no doubt Lakshmikant always has to offer a detailed explanation, and the best part with Lakshmikant is that this Lakshmikant book of Indian polity, it integrates everything. It integrates the constitution with the legal precedents that have been established, as well as the practices that have been taking place in the legislature as well as the judiciary. Yeah, but in order to build a foundation, in order to concept the entire philosophy behind those decisions or behind those practices or precedents, you need to go through the NCRTs. Clear? So it is like you want to build a foundation. Okay, so it is not that directly you have to jump and start building a multiplex. Okay, first you have to start off with the things, okay, which gradually constitutes into a smaller establishment, and then a multi-story can be built over it. Okay, so they are the primary source. Moreover, concept clarity first. Okay, now if you directly jump onto any advanced book or a high level resource, you will always find that at times some specific terms are mentioned, okay, which are covered nowhere. So you again have to Google to understand those terms. But what happens is that in NCRTs, the author has understood the psyche of a student, okay, and the author has briefly given some inset boxes, okay. Questions within the topics have been asked because the author has understood that which all are the troubling areas for the aspirants. Clear? So, first and foremost, even though the language in NCRT would seem to be very simple, but still, while going through it, you will find that a lot of new things have been mentioned in it. Clear? Lastly, we can see direct questions are being asked in prelims. Okay, so we have seen direct statements being picked up from the questions that have been given in the NCRTs. Okay. Moreover, mains answer writing, it needs conceptual depth. Okay, with clarity, and this is something that only NCRTs can build for you. Okay. Next, moving ahead, which NCRT to read and how to read it. Clear? Now, whenever we are going through the NCRTs, class 6, class 7th, NCRTs are optional. Okay. Now, I'll just show you the NCRTs of class 6th and 7th. Okay. Now, if you just have a look at the NCRTs of class 6th, okay, you will find that not all topics are very relevant. Okay. Now, I'll take you through all the NCRTs, and while taking you through the NCRTs, okay, I'll also make you understand that how essentially, okay, how essentially and how much time do you require, okay, while you are going through the NCRTs. Okay. Now, herein we can see Okay. Chalo. Now, whenever you just go through the NCRTs, you will find that in these NCRTs, okay, not all topics are very important. Okay, the first topic in this book, okay, the class 6th book, which is there, okay, it is the social and political, okay, and exploring society. Now, when you are going through this NCRT, not every topic you will find will be important. Okay, they are more about more talking about the evolution of the society. Okay, society and what essentially are the things clear. So we have various topics, okay, but herein you will find that only 3 topics find higher relevance. Okay, only 3 topics are finding higher relevance, which are the government level, village panchayat, as well as the rights. Clear. Similarly, in the class 7th NCRT, when you go through it, okay, you will find social and political life part 2. Okay, again, this NCRT becomes optional, but a few topics like state government, women empowerment, media and democracy. Now, even this topic, media and democracy, is not directly linked with Indian polity, but this gives you a basic idea of a fundamental principle of speech and expression. Okay, basic things that have been mentioned under it, how it has been covered. So this is a very, very neutral topic, and any serious aspirant would cover it within 10-15 minutes. Okay, so I would want you to go through this topic also. Okay, now next thing if we go through is class 8th NCRT, social and political life life part 3, and this is recommended because this topic gives you a very clear idea about basics of parliamentary, judiciary, constitution, fundamental rights, introduction. Clear. So all of these things are important. Now the question comes up is that, sir, which NCRT is the most important for all? Okay. Now most important NCRT is the class 11th NCRT. Okay. Now, if it has to be one NCRT that is directly relevant to your syllabus, is class 11th NCRT. Okay, so class 11th NCRT is directly important because if you need to go through the entire Indian constitution at work, okay, so this is the NCRT that has covered all topics from from basic fundamental concepts to high level ideas. Okay, now herein constitution making is covered, election and representation is covered, legislature, federalism, constitution as living document, rights and constitution, executives, judiciary, local government, constitution and democracy. Okay, now one more thing that I want to add here is that at times you would have seen, I'll also show you the examples, that in the examination UPSC has been asking some philosophical ideas. Okay, those philosophical ideas wherein you get confused that from where this statement has been asked. Okay, so now when I'll show you this, you will see that in class 6th NCRTs the topics are very simple, very average. Okay, and these topics are essentially, you will find that these topics are not in a detail to be covered. Okay, so first topic in class 6th NCRT is diversity. Again, a very basic concept. You can go through the unit 2, okay, government. A basic idea of governance has been given. Okay, next unit 3, local government and administration. This is something that you can read. So in class 6th NCRT, whenever you are reading this class 6th NCRT, this topic of government and unit 3, the local government and administration, must be seen. Okay, but these two topics are very, very simple, very, very basic language is being used. At times you will find it boring. Okay, but just give it a reading. Clear. So class 6th NCRT can be covered in a single shot, and a single sitting can help you overcome this. Now when we come across to class 7th NCRT, okay, now in this class 7th NCRT, again not all topics have to be studied. Okay, not all topics have to be studied, and topics have been some very simple and very basic. Okay, you might feel that again these are for some school student and why do you need to go through them. Okay, so I'll just show you that which all topics have to be read. Okay, now again in this, the first topic is tracing changes through 1,000 years. Okay, now this is again something that you need not read. Just wait for a moment. Okay. Okay. So first topic that you read, tracing changes through 1,000 years, is something again that is not very relevant. Okay. The next topic that you come across here, okay, you will again find that the second topic, new kings and kingdoms. Okay. This is again something that is more part of history, okay, and is less relevant for you. Okay. Now, moving ahead onto the next topic. So, this is entirely history portion. Okay. Now, next is about the Delhi Sultans, again, part of history. And when you move further, the fourth topic is about the Mughal Empire, again, not very relevant. Okay. Fifth is again about rulers and buildings, again, history topic. Okay. Sixth is about towns, traders, and craft persons, again, part of history. Seventh is tribes, nomads, and settled communities, again, not to be included as part of polity. Okay. Next, if we see the topic about the devotional paths and divine. Okay, so basically, the Sufi Bhakti ideas that are part of history. Okay, they are being covered. Next, if you see the next topic, okay, that is making of regional cultures. Again, this is part of Indian history. Okay. Moving further, the next topic in class 7th NCRT is 18th century political formation. So these are again talking about the regional kingdoms, that is part of history and nothing to do with the Indian polity. Okay. So this is essentially whenever you are going through class 7th NCRT, there is nothing to be read as part of this. Okay. Now, next is the class 8th NCRT. Okay. Now, in this class 8th NCRT, there are a few concepts that have to be read, okay, that have to be studied. First is the unit 1. Equality in Indian democracy. Okay. The unit 2, state government. Okay. The unit 3, gender. Okay. Now, as I told you about this unit 4, media and advertisements. Now, this topic, even though is part of a generic things, okay, but a brief reading can be done for it. Okay. Next, uh, again, there are topics of economy, media, and advertising. Again, is part of it. You can just skip. Next comes the topic of equality in Indian democracy. Now, from here, from this topic, you would see that questions have been asked previously in the exam. Okay, so there have been few philosophical conceptual statements that have been asked previously in the examination. So in this, just these around 3-4 topics are there that have to be read in this entire class 8th also. Now moving on to the class 9th history part. Okay, again, a good number of topics have been covered as part of this. Okay, so you will find that a good Indian polity concepts, Indian polity ideas have been covered. Okay, now in this you will find a few concepts that have been asked specifically in the examination previously. Okay, So chapter 1, democracy in the contemporary world. Okay, you can just go through it. So this will give you a comparative idea of democratic principles. Okay, now whenever we have talked about the term democracy, democracy in itself has explained it like the power to show dissent. Okay, so how the democracy works, what all are the essential principles, what is the concept behind making fundamental rights part of the Indian constitution, all of these concepts you will be able to relate well after going through these basic topics. Okay, then the chapter 2, chapter 3, again about the electoral politics, working of institutions, and the democratic rights. Clear? So all of these things have been very nicely covered in this, and a brief reading will help you go through it. Okay. So, acha, from Monday, the series that I'll be starting off, in this series, I'll make sure one thing that I'll take you through everything line by line. Okay. And when we'll go through line by line, then we will also try to infer in a more specific manner that what does this convey, okay, and how this can be linked with any previous year question. So this is how I'll be helping you out in preparing these topics. Okay, so these basic concepts that have been discussed, comparative studies have been done from the entire world, how things have been built up. Okay, these all have been covered in this. Now the next, again, class 10th NCRT. Okay. Now when we go through the class 10th NCRT, there are only limited concepts which have been part of it. Okay. The concepts like power sharing, federalism has been very nicely covered in few NCRTs. I'll keep highlighting it. Now, democracy and diversity, gender, religion and caste, popular struggles, movements, okay, outcomes of democracy, challenges to democracy. So everything has been covered in this. Now, again, in this NCRT of class 10th, you will again find a very good idea. Now, this is again class 9th. So, a basic understanding of every topic that is covered in detail in class 11th. Okay. So, this basically talks about why and how constitution, rights in Indian constitution, election and representation, executives, legislature, judiciary, concept of federalism, local government, okay, constitution as a living document, and the philosophy of the constitution. So this is basically to give you an idea that how things in detail have been covered in class 11th NCRTs. Okay, so this is if a question arises that from which year, from which class specific NCRTs have to be read, then it has to be from 9th onwards. Okay, again I'll tell you that why not NCRT of class 12th is more relevant. Okay, next, if we move ahead, okay, with the NCRT, you can again see that class 11th NCRTs become more relevant, more important. Okay, in class 11th NCRT, in this political science part 2, the concept around the political theory are given. Okay, so this has to be read: freedom, equality, social justice, rights, citizenship, nationalism, secularism, peace, and the entire concept of holistic development that has been covered as part of this. Okay, next, moving ahead, if we again have a look at the contemporary world politics. So this is class 12th NCRT, okay, and you need not go through it. Okay, there is no point in going through it. In general, you can just go through the international organization, and that can be covered outside the Indian polity part. So no need to go through class 12th NCRT. Okay, next, class 12th NCRT part 2. Okay, now this has got few things which are more relevant for mains perspective. Clear? So if you are going for prelims perspective, okay, you can just go through class 9th up to class 11th NCRT books. ठीक? Now I'm again highlighting the same in this presentation also. ठीक? So 11th becomes very important. Then class 9th and 10th, democratic politics part 1 and part 2. Okay. In class 9th NCRT, you will get to understand what is democracy, why democracy, constitutional designs, making of entire constitution. Now this is a very good idea, very good topic, and in NCRTs it has been covered in a very structured manner. Okay. Next, electoral politics have been covered. Working of institutions, President, PM, Parliament, democratic rights, the NHRC, courts, rights and practices, everything has been covered. In class 10th, they have taken up concepts around diversities and federalism primarily. So, power sharing, comparative studies have been given, federalism, democracy and diversity, gender, religion, caste, okay, political parties and outcomes of democracy have been covered. Clear? So this class 10th federalism chapter is very, very important. Okay, and questions on 7th schedule, concurrent list, interstate council have been asked repeatedly by UPSC in the examination. So this class 10th federalism is very important, and recently as it is statements have been picked from this topic. Clear? Next, what is the smart way to cover it? Now, what has to be read and how it has to be interpreted, that becomes important. First is, first reading shall be for pure understanding. Now, herein you can read without a pen, just understand what NCRTs are and how are they trying to help you out. Clear? Next, second reading, start making notes, start underlining things, and also keep on mentioning the keywords. Okay? Next, also try to link them with the PYQs, and finally, okay, make sure that when you are reading NCRTs, read it twice, read it thrice, because the third reading shall help you make the exam revision. Okay, so each reading will take less than around 2 hours per book. Okay, so even if you are reading it diligently and you are again making notes in every reading, nowhere more than 1.5 hours to 2 hours per book will be required by you. Clear? Because all of you have a habit of reading and all of you can absorb ideas quickly. This is the reason that you won't take anywhere over 1.5 to 2 hours. Okay, every book. Okay? Next, what is the ideal reading plan? Now, this is the biggest question that comes up in the minds of students, and this is the reason why I have told you that how to cover polity and which books to be excluded, which to be skipped. Clear? So, start off with class 9th NCRT, then class 10th, 11th NCRT, class 12th NCRT, only some specific topics. Clear? Then class 8 NCRTs, again very, very selective topics I have highlighted, and lastly you can jump onto Lakshmikant. Clear? Now this entire practice, okay, even if you divide it week wise, okay, I would say that for a serious candidate it would not take anywhere over a week to 10 days to cover all the NCRTs. Okay? Next, again, the key topics that have to be focused upon in NCRTs, because they have got some uh, link ups, philosophical ideas related to the evolution also. Okay. In the class 11th NCRT, fundamental rights, okay, it has been mentioned very nicely along with exceptions. And why it becomes very important? Because they have taught this entire topic like they have been teaching it to a very naive and a very young student. Okay. Class 10th and 11th, federalism and its list. Class 11th, president and prime minister. Class 11th, again, the amendment procedure. So they have explained this concept very nicely again. See? Then in class 11, DPSPs are important, topic of parliament, Supreme Court. Okay. So what I have been trying to convey is that class 9th, 10th, 11th NCRTs are something that will help you cover the entire Indian polity in a very comprehensive manner. Then you can primarily jump upon the higher level resources and the question practice mainly. Okay. Now, if we have a look upon the real UPSC prelims questions that have been asked in NCRTs, okay, in 2021 class 10th NCRT topic of federalism, the question had asked the exact features, exact statements that were given in NCRTs. Clear? So, with reference to the Constitution of India, which of the following is not a feature of federalism? Okay. Next, Again in 2019, the question had been asked, which one of the following is the largest committee of Parliament of India? So making of constitution has always been a good topic. So making of constitution and the introduction to the constitution have been asked many a times in the exam. Then 2018, they have previously asked about right against exploitation. Okay, the options that were mentioned, and it has been explained in the NCRT with relevant examples, and the exact examples were asked in the exam. ठीक? Then in 2016, previously, class 11th NCRT question from judiciary has been asked, okay, about the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Clear? So this again, as previously I have discussed how it helps you in preparing for prelims, it also helps you in mains answer writing. So once we start off with this series, I'll also help you to link the answer writing in the mains with the prelims questions. Okay. Next, NCRT versus Lakshmikant. This is the biggest debate. So before ending with the session, I was bound to cover up this differentiation. I was bound to address this debate also. So on a hand, NCRT gives you conceptual clarity, historical context, political analysis in a very basic terms, worked examples. So it is more of comparative case studies that is given. Mains answer writing quality and simplicity for first time readers, because first time reader, if he directly now what usually happens with students is that whenever a student start preparing for the prelims, okay, people will recommend n number of books. Okay, somebody will say Lakshmikant, somebody will say just go through Subhash Kashyap, somebody will recommend any book, somebody will say go through the Bakshi, the book written by Bakshi sir. So in this scenario, at times the students gets confused. Okay, and books like Subhash Kashyap, okay, they have been written in a very complex constitutional language, which at times becomes difficult for students to understand. Clear? So what a student should do is, before starting off with anything, okay, a student must go through the NCRT so that they are able to catch up with those complex terms of the constitution, and so that those terms can be easily correlated whenever the candidate is going through a higher level resource. Clear? Now, other books and the coaching notes will give you comprehensive facts. So, all articles, schedules, amendments, one place. So, even though everyone knows that every book covers everything around the exam, but still, why the students are not able to retain those concepts? Because unlike NCRTs, everywhere you will only find a comprehensive list of facts. Clear? Now they are all exhaustive lists, okay, and they are more relevant for quick revision. All institutions have covered, from the UPSCs to the state PSCs, CAG, every topic has been covered, latest amendments have been covered, and they are exactly aligned to the UPSC syllabus structures. So there are no gaps. But in order to understand an idea, a student must go through the NCRT so that the candidate can start building up from the basic. Okay, and if you are going through basics, it must be in the basic language only. Clear? Next is the common mistakes aspirants makes with the NCRTs. First, they skip class 9th and 10th. Now, many students, they jump directly onto class 11. Do not do this, because there are a few concepts in class 11th NCRTs which have been initiated in class 9th and 10th NCRTs. So, in order to understand the reference made in class 11th, you must go through the class 9th and 10th NCRT. Clear? Not noting down the article numbers. Now, this is again a very big problem. Now, whenever I have had this question in every batch of mine. Whenever we are going through a topic, once we are about to complete the syllabus, a very common doubt comes up. Students always end up asking, sir, how to remember articles. Now, what I suggest you is, you cannot mug up articles in the end. Okay. Whenever you are reading any topic, whenever you are solving a question, whatever concept is covered, give it an extra 10 second and find out the article correlated with it. it is only then that you will be able to remember articles for long. So whatever you are studying, keep noting down the article numbers. This is the best way to prepare. Okay. So firstly, try to remember the block of articles in the parts that have been mentioned, and then specifically move on to the specific articles. Okay. Next thing is candidates moving to Lakshmikant too early. Now what happens is students start with NCRTs, okay, but after reading an NCRT of class 6th, 7th, 8th, students feel that this is very simple. This is too simple to be invested upon. So even before the actual NCRT comes up, after just going through 6, 7, 8 NCRT, students jump onto the higher level resource like Lakshmikant. So it becomes an issue because again, there are some terms, there are some concepts wherein students have to directly make references to NCRTs. Clear? Next comes reading once and forgetting. So I have always been very vocal about this way of studying is that please do not read anything only once. Even though the concept may be very simple, okay, but if you are making up mistakes in the examination, make sure that you read the concept twice, 3 times, or if need be, nth time. Clear? So limit your resources but revise them frequently. Okay. Next, the biggest mistake students make up while reading NCRTs are that they do not attempt chapter end questions. Okay. I know many students, they read NCRTs casually and they take up it so casually that they are not able to answer those chapter end questions, and the self defense mechanism that they uses, they start saying, "Arey, these chapter end questions are of no relevance, so let us skip them." The actual reason is that you are not able to answer them. Clear? So like a school going candidate, whatever chapter end question comes up, okay, if not a detailed answer, you should attempt it in a brief manner. Okay. Lastly, reading but not linking it to the PYQs. This is again a very, very big problem that students have been making. Okay. My always advice to you is that every preparation starts with the previous year questions only. Before starting off with your preparation, at least find out 5 years previous year questions, start off with them. For a serious candidate, I would suggest that polity is such a top subject wherein you can attempt all questions correctly in the exam. So the strategy should be to reach a level of perfection, and for that level of perfection, if need be, please attempt at least last 12 to 15 years of previous year questions for polity specifically. Okay. And while reading, make sure that you are making regular link ups. Clear? Now, quick revision how to do it. These are the topics that I have mentioned. So, in the end, I'll also share my Telegram channel. So, make sure that you join me on my Telegram channel, and therein I'll share the PDFs of all the NCRTs along with the PDF of this session. Okay. Next, make sure that whenever you are reading NCRTs, okay, they are to be taken up as Bible of Indian polity. Clear? Class 11th NCRT is most important. There are limited topics in class 10th and 11th. Make sure that you read NCRTs at least 3 times and always link NCRTs to PYQs. Clear? NCRTs will give you conceptual depth and books like Lakshmikant will give you facts. Clear? And for examination, both are needed. Why? Lakshmikant is always a ready reckoner. Okay, whenever you tend to make mistakes, you can directly jump onto a specific page number and you can cover up things. Okay, I've always admired the book Lakshmikant. Okay, just take up any example and take up the topic of parliament of Lakshmikant. You will find that in every competitive exam that topic becomes very relevant, but there are many topics related to that concept of parliament that you can learn only from NCRTs. Clear? So give NCRTs a reading, okay, and then probably you can move on to any book, any resource you feel like. Clear? So from Monday 29th of June, I'll start off with an smart NCRT series. Okay, so daily at 3 p.m. it will be live session on this channel itself, and wherein we'll cover NCRTs in the most productive and in a linear fashion. Clear? चलिए, so before ending off with this session, let me again remind you about our new GS Foundation batches in complete English language, which are starting from 27th of June, and you can avail the best discount and best price by using the code SRM Live. Clear? So please do not waste any moment further. You have got less than 11 months in the next year's prelims exam. Okay, so if you want to crack prelims in the upcoming attempt, your preparation has to be smart. Okay, and that smart preparation accompanied with the best hand holding and mentorship is being given by StudyIQ IAS. Clear? So in our P2I batches, we are providing you with complete hand holding and guidance to crack the exam and achieve your dream to towards becoming a civil servant. Clear? So in case you have got any doubt, please do let me know in the comment section. Do join me on my Telegram channel, Sharad Mudgal underscore study IQ. Okay, the channel has been named Defense Decoded. Clear? So do join me on my Telegram channel, and I'll be sharing all PDFs and every comprehensive exam related information in my channel. Clear? So this was all from my side today. Please do let me know in the comment section how do you like the session, and do not forget to share this news with your friends that from 29th of June, Monday, okay, I'll start off with this smart NCRT series. Okay, so please be part of this series. Daily at 3 p.m. we'll be covering NCRTs in the most exam oriented and relevant manner.